Yonkers Voice, and today we're interviewing Mayor Richard Thomas. And what number mayor are you of Mount Vernon?
26.
The 26th mayor of Mount Vernon.
And I wish I were 26.
Well, you may make 27. Who knows? Okay. We have a town meeting tonight. There are three questions, three issues: Memorial Field, sewage, and one other question about police. We'll start with Memorial Field. Memorial Field is kind of the elephant in the room as far as rehabbing it, the cost. It's been on for years. Is it better to shelve the Memorial Field project now and take that money and put that money into schools?
It depends. And what I can tell you is our focus is bringing Memorial Field back. It's the center of all of our good memories. It's a representation of what Mount Vernon was. But what Mount Vernon is today is a functioning city, and it's moving forward. So from all the work that we're doing to get the city to go in the right direction, Memorial Field is rising. We got it open for the first time in a decade, and we're going to continue to bring more and more life back to the field, and we hope to have the track back in the next few weeks. And as we plan for our future, it's going to be even bigger and better for the next 100 years.
Okay, for the naysayers who say shelve the project, is Memorial Field a potential source of revenue for the city?
Absolutely. Sports entertainment is at the heart of our identity as a city. We are a city of champions, home of legends. Dick Clark, Art Carney, Denzel Washington, Heavy D and the Boys, Earl Tatum, Rodney McRae, Scooter McRae, Lowe's Moore. You go down the list, so many people, Ralph Bronco. Memorial Field has inspired and been staged for so many legends, including Nina Simone. So we have to bring back Memorial Field. It's going to bring jobs, it's going to bring fun, and a better quality of life.
Okay, now that was the easy question. Okay, the next one is about the police.
Sure.
Your request to increase the budget for police was denied by City Council. Now, do you think that was based on a revenge motive against you, or was that just a valid turn down?
A state Supreme Court judge ruled that political animus has made Mount Vernon the source of, the poster child of dysfunction. And it wasn't until recently that state judge said Mount Vernon's mayor must move forward. Mount Vernon's mayor's authority is upheld. And I thank State Judge Lefkowitz for making sure that she affirmed our city charter and made it clear that we can not only appoint people to work for the city of Mount Vernon, but more importantly, that we have the right to run the city with the vision that the voters asked me to move forward with. And I can assure you that, the requests we've made, every request we've made has been designed for a zero tax impact. We look within the budget to cut waste, cut spending, and reallocate resources in a way that will produce a much better outcome. We've done that over the past 18 months, and we're going to continue to demonstrate that we have an opportunity to move Mount Vernon forward. And I thank the council and the comptroller for, coming around to embrace our vision, because they've recently said they'll invest in technology for police and fire, equipment for police and fire, equipment for DPW, and this all revolves around fixing our broken sewers. So we're very thankful for the newfound cooperation.
Okay, you just help me with my next question and the last question.
Sure.
In regards to the sewer system, the sewage system, as far as rehabbing the sewer system, does that mean simply cleaning out the gutters, making sure the leaves don't get in the gutters? Or are we talking about the infrastructure, replacing the water mains, replacing the piping in the city?
Mount Vernon's sewer situation is on the same scale as Flint, Michigan's water situation. This is a scoop of water from the Hutch River. And I can tell you that 25 years ago, nobody imagined that we would leave nothing behind in terms of clean waterways to our children. So we have a lot of work to do to fix broken sewers, make sure that homeowners' basements don't flood, business owners' basements don't flood and lose product, lose memories. It's a very, very big project. It's going to take 5 to 10 years to do. And I can assure you that when we're done, we're going to have a completely different Mount Vernon. You're going to hear about some of that tonight, where we're going to commit to making Mount Vernon clean and green. We're going to soften the urban environment, putting gardens and green landscaping throughout the city. We have 1% of green space, and we're looking to increase it to 5% over the next 10 years. That's a huge undertaking, but guess what? We must do it.
Great. Is there anything that I've forgotten that you'd like to say?
I believe that Mount Vernon is going to become a jobs destination again. And with our vision for an innovation district here in the center of the city, with all the benefits that will bring, get ready to see these storefronts fill up.
You anticipate any fireworks inside tonight?
Listen, it's always fireworks. Mount Vernon's home of free speech and freestyle. We're going to have a lot of discussion. We look forward to hearing from our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're happy to be here tonight. We believe that there was something that is said that in all our ways acknowledge Him. There's our Heavenly Father, and He will direct our path. If there was a time that we need divine guidance and our Heavenly Father to direct us, it is now. We know we need Him. We need Him every day, every moment, every hour. So we're not going to belabor anything. We just want you to bow your heads with us as we invoke the blessings of God upon this occasion. Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, a shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. Father God, we come to you asking for guidance and direction at this time. We know that we can do nothing without you, but all things through God in Christ that strengthens us. Guide this meeting tonight. Bless our mayor. Guide him, giving guidance, direction, giving strength and wisdom, strength for today, and bright hope for all of his and Mount Vernon's tomorrow. Bless all of those that have come out tonight, those that are looking for guidance and direction, those that are looking for new hope in this meeting. Give them new strength, give them new power, give them new understanding, give them new wisdom, and help them, oh God, that as he presents the program for this year, for this time, for such an hour as this, we have been brought to this place. We ask all of these blessings in your precious name. Don't forget our policemen, our firemen, our sanitation department, all those that serve it so willingly, so diligently, so faithfully, Lord. Guide and direct them, keep them.
That don't mean that I don't really love you. Even though I'm married to father.
Everybody, I want to say thank you for coming out tonight, but also I want to thank all those that helped plan the fireworks, the chairman of our fund committee, Stephen Butch Thomas, my brother, to Danny Terry that helped put this video together, and everyone that got to enjoy the fireworks. I hope you not only enjoyed it, but this is part of why we work so hard to make sure that we can create new memories. So again, I want to say thank you to the fund committee, which helped produce this, but this is some of the examples of what we've been doing to make sure we move our city forward. So if we can just give a brief round of applause for our fund committee. I want to begin with where we are and where we were, and I want to talk about where we're going tonight. There's a lot of work that must be done to move Mount Vernon forward. And it truly is a labor of love. So I want to talk about 25 years ago, I want to tell you about a game that was played at a very important place often known as Howell Ground, not Yankee Stadium, our version of it, Memorial Field. And I want to tell you about a game that was played between two bitter rivals. One that almost on the equivalent of Yankees versus Red Sox. We're talking Pop Warner football. We're talking Mount Vernon Razorbacks versus New Rochelle. I don't remember their name. But typical of Mount Vernon versus Rochelle games, especially in football, Razorback football. It's a close game. And in this game, Mount Vernon was down, and then they got back up. Mount Vernon was down, and they got back up. A minute was left, leading by 1 point. New Rochelle was on the 10-yard line, ready to score.
and then it happened. You're welcome. Is still discussed 25 years later. But if you stop for a moment and just look at those kids and pull them to Mount Vernon today and ask them, is this the Mount Vernon you think would have been left behind? The answer is absolutely not. Think of the values, the courage, the confidence. Think of the important character traits that have been built as a result of just that one moment, that Mount Vernon moment. And 25 years later, Memorial Field is shut. And you have to ask yourself, what kind of future are we leaving behind for our kids? If you ask that kid, did he expect this? The answer is unequivocally no. But 25 years later, you're looking at some of those kids. I didn't catch the pass. But there's another story about a young girl that knew she could run. She set foot on the track at Memorial Field just about 10 years ago. And she never knew she would run her way all the way to the Olympics. So Memorial Field plays a significant role in helping our kids, our families come together, discover that it can happen. You can be down and you can get up. So Mount Vernon's story, we have to tell our story, which is why we endeavored to create that wall of legends, to remind ourselves that we are home to legends, a city of champions. And we have to continue to tell our story. And I can't thank you enough for remaining active, engaged, involved, and committed to making sure that Memorial Field moves forward. So each and every one of you that have come here tonight, I want to thank you all for being here. And I know it's a lot of work. I see many of my commissioners in the room. I will recognize them throughout the program. But I want to make sure you know that we're all here and we work for you. And I want to thank our host, Our Lady of Victory, for opening this space to permit this town hall, because we wouldn't be able to have such a great space without it. Next slide, please. Now, let's go back 50 years. This is Mount Vernon in 1956. We had a theater. We had a bowling alley. Oh, wait a minute, I'm being corrected. We had two. All right, hold on. Which one is it? I see two, I see four. Going to the next one, high instead of 3, 3, 3. Now, which one is it? All right, 2 bowling alleys, 4 theaters. You see, history. And so we had a great quality of life. We had a place where we could go, bring our friends, bring our families. But I want you to just take a look at this next picture. This is Mount Vernon today. No theater, no bowling alleys. And again, we have to ask ourselves, what happened? Why did the progress and the good times sort of stop? What happened? And these are some of the questions that while we are asking ourselves, this is part of the reason why I find it purposeful to remain focused on moving the city forward and listening to the stories of Memorial Field, the stories of having a quality of life where even Dick Clark inspired American Bandstand and contributed to racial integration in this country. So there are a lot of things that happen here that need to happen again. And that's part of the reason why we're here tonight, to talk about some of the things we're doing to bring back good times. Next slide. Also something that hasn't changed since the 50s. This is our traffic management system. And you wonder why the street lights go out when it rains? This is why. So you have to ask yourself, what are we doing to kind of change the situation? And it is comical, because we're supposed to be a bustling, vibrant city, but yet Memorial Field has been shut. We lost the theater, the bowling alley, and we still have a traffic management system from the 50s. We need to invest in our city. We need to invest in ourselves. We pay enough in taxes as it is. And this is part of the reason why we have endeavored so much to focus on the little things, which are big things. Beginning with DPW, making sure that we fix potholes. In 2016, we paved 18 lane miles. 18 lane miles. The previous 4 years, only about 8 lane miles. We did more in 6 months than the previous 4 years. And this year alone, we did 6,000 potholes in the first 6 months of 2017. Last year, we did 4,000. So these are things that we're doing. We're tracking our progress and trying to present to you how we're taking what we have and we're making it work better. When you look at the police department, we inherited a situation where our police commissioner was cut from the budget for some reason. Doesn't make sense to me. 20 cop positions were cut. But guess what? We found a way to drive down crime. We know that there are challenges with that. Even this past weekend, we had an unfortunate incident that led to the fatal loss of someone's life. I met with the family and spent some time with them, and it's terrible that Orville Bell, at the age of 27, has left us. But we know we have work to do, and I'd just like to actually pause for a moment. Moment of silence for Mr. Bell. But we know that Mount Vernon is a family, one family. We're going to keep working through these challenges despite the setbacks and despite the distractions. I can assure you that with respect to our fire department, it went from a laughing stock to something that everybody's proud of. And our Commissioner, Peggy Beal, is here, and the fire chief is here, and our deputy chief of the fire department is here. And I can assure you that when you look at the fire department of today, it's not the same fire department a year ago or less. And we, for the first time, are now training our new recruits in-house. Almost every fire district is contacting Commissioner Beal to figure out, how did you create your own training? How did you do it? So thank you, Commissioner Beal, for having the passion to fight through it and make sure that we get it done ourselves. Our buildings department continues to make significant progress. I want to recognize our Commissioner Woods, who's over here in the back of the room. And he's surrounded by our Commissioner of Emergency Services, Freda Hickson, who's out there at every single fire there is, along with Deputy Commissioner of the Fire Department, Deborah Norman. And I'll come back, and then just while we're over there recognizing everybody, we have our Chief of the Police Department, Rick Zaidi. Chief Zaidi. You should know that in our 125-year history as a city, this is Mount Vernon's birthday this year, by the way. And we'll talk about what we're going to do to celebrate that later. But Chief Zaidi is the third person of color to lead the police department. He's also joined by Deputy Chief Roy Hastings. Thank you. Now, the building department has gone from processing permits from years, or as some of the data suggested, at 8 months down to 15 days. We've gotten it down because it's all about process. We're designing a whole new process, and the system performs as designed. So we are designing a system to perform. It's very simple. We're not seeking to make overzealous commitments. We just want to make the city work for you. And it's been a hard fight, but we've been making the changes systematically because we understand that performance matters. Next slide. Next slide. This is a summary, by the way, of where we are in trying to transform City Hall from a digital standpoint. So I asked you to watch this video. It's a couple minutes, but it kind of summarizes our talks currently ongoing with Microsoft. We recruited Microsoft to come to town. And we have a few other major companies that have stepped up to work with us. But I need you to see that there's more than just that 1950s traffic management system that we're using. There are other things that you need to see, so please go.
What we need right now is really to link the building department with us and us with the police department. So we saw something, Harris Communication has it, it's called Symphony. It's a 55-inch
So, and that's an actual room in the planning department. There's tarp hanging from the ceiling because the roof is leaking that we paid to fix years ago. And the water from the tarp drains into a barrel that we empty about, every couple of weeks. But it's ridiculous. That's your city hall. Boxes strewn about, papers everywhere, junky. And we're told, as we entered, you can't hire folks, you can't do this, can't do that. We're like, oh, wait a minute, we understand that it's tough, but man. So you may have read recently, yes, we won a legal victory in court affirming our right to hire and operate the city. And we're going to continue to assert our executive authority to change that situation. So I just want to make sure you know that is real and we're working through it. And we will continue to invite our colleagues to work with us, and we will continue to keep you updated that we're making good progress, because recently, many of you may have seen the sewer truck that was parked outside. So there is an embracing of the vision. There are things that we are doing to work together, and it is good for Mount Vernon. And I will continue to work with the council and the controller because it is good for Mount Vernon. Next slide. So this is part of our recent collaboration, able to start really cleaning up Mount Vernon, demolishing. And this is all we want to do. We want to knock down and slay these zombie vampires that are sucking the life out of our neighborhoods. And we want to replace them with green space as much as we can. And we're talking benches, we're talking gardens, we're talking landscaping, and we want to maintain it. And we're gonna talk about what our colleagues at the state government have pledged to help us do, especially Senator Klein's office, who's here represented tonight. Why don't you stand up so everybody can see Senator Klein's office here tonight. But this is just the beginning, and we have so much work to do, and this is where our recent success is coming from, because our waterways are in crisis. We know that our sewers are broken, and we must fix them. We have a significant mandate from the federal regulators that we must move forward on fixing our broken sewers. There's a real tremendous, serious fiscal threat that we face. And that fiscal threat essentially is almost $1 million a week at a minimum. And you can start the clock at September 1st, 2016, and just count every week $1 million forward. And that's the earliest point in time that you can start from. You can go back to 2012 if you'd like, but that's the range. Because when we met with the Department of Justice, they warned us that we will pay a financial consequence for not complying with their order. And that's something that, again, we're working through, but we hope that our plan and our vision will be able to mitigate the financial penalty that obstructionism has cost us. But just know that there will be a penalty based on our latest conversations with the Department of Justice. And some of you that are here tonight have experienced flooded basements, can't use your backyards because of the smell, but just know that the hutch in the Bronx River will be reclaimed. That's part of the work that you've seen with that sewer truck. That's the confirmation that we are beginning to address our broken sewers. And in the back of the room, I just want to recognize our Commissioner of DPW, Commissioner Joe Nigro. And he's joined by Deputy Commissioner Frank Perone. And also in the back of the room is our Commissioner of Water, Anthony Delanura. And I also see now our first Commissioner of Buildings Department, Frank Serbone. There goes Frank. But the sewer equipment is very, very important because once we begin this work, starting as soon as this week, we cannot stop. We must keep going. It's going to require more investments in our city. And this is what led to the difference in making sure that the city council, the controller, and the mayor's office really focused on addressing this big problem. And it resulted in new equipment for police and fire, $4 million for police, $4 million for fire. This is a record investment in our public safety system. So I want to thank our council and controller for working with us. Come on, we can give them a round of applause. Because it's going to result in more technology, more tools to make sure we keep you safer, from drones to new fire trucks to new police vehicles, all good things that we need. Next slide. So I'm going to show you a little bit about the areas in which the sewer work will begin. So on one side of town, we have the Hutch River, and on another side there's the Bronx River, but both riverways will be addressed and will be cleaned. We're talking about reclaiming from Wilson Woods all the way down to Hutchfield behind Target. And as you can see, we're looking to reclaim the trailway along the Hutch River, so it's very much our own destination, a whole new park that we can enjoy. We can use our strollers, we can enjoy the wilderness, and not have to worry about where you see that triangle is where one of the major outfalls are. That's one of the major problems from the sewer standpoint. But these are the things that we're doing and what we have planned. We're partnering with the County of Westchester. They have committed to working with us to improve this greenway on both sides of Mount Vernon, the Bronx River and the Hutch River. And this is millions in commitment from just the county alone, but also from us as a city. We're making a commitment to make sure we clean up these waterways to become useful for our community. And as you can see, we also have plans to connect this greenway all the way going along the side of Target, right into the back of Hutch Field, to create a whole new experience where we have a whole new park along our waterway, where you see to the bottom left of the screen, it says Mount Vernon Shores. Currently, this is Hutch Field, and we're looking to redesign Hutch Field to become more of the first public access point to the Hutch River. As many of you may know, Mount Vernon has a port, the only active port in this region. We import over 700,000 metric tons of raw material and fuel oil to heat your homes and run heavy machinery. So we look forward to partnering with our neighbors in the area to create this whole new space. And next week, we have a planning meeting on the Canal Village revitalization that's going to go into this more. But I wanted you to see that it is possible for Mount Vernon to build its own beach with restaurants and shops along this walkway right behind Target. And this is some of the work that we see coming to the city over the next few years. And some of you, may be saying, no way, it can't be possible. Well, $1 million has already been put up by the fuel terminal to dredge that waterway. And Mount Vernon will be partnering with them, a public-private partnership to dredge that waterway and clean it up, because there is a natural boat launch there that we have. And just think about it, kayaks, small boats, will be able to have our kids fish and swim hopefully one day in water that looks like this. this is the water from the hutch that we have to clean up. It's dark green and it smells bad, so I don't recommend you open this up. But I'll leave it here for you all to see, and when we take some questions, we'll pass it around. Again, just don't open it up. Next slide. So this is 4th Avenue. 4th Avenue is also part of the sewer revitalization plan. Part of our mandate from the federal government is to make Mount Vernon greener. And we want 4th Avenue to look almost like Ridge Hill, where you have nice landscaping, nice aesthetics. And we believe we can transform 4th Avenue to something like this, that's more relevant, that has more purpose. And we believe the numbers alone will make this happen. And I can tell you right now that we have plans to make it into a pedestrian plaza. We have plans to really make it something that you want to go to again. And we know that Mount Vernon's 4th Avenue is the source of innovation for the region. And we're going to talk about how we're making this area, the downtown of Mount Vernon, into an innovation district. This is something that's going to help us transform many of these empty storefronts that you see. You know, just kind of going along Gramerton, going up 1st Street, going up 4th Avenue. We've already established that we lost the theater, we lost the bowling alleys. And we need to bring much of that back. So we're looking to bring back a theater. We're looking to bring back digital create digital studios. We're looking to make Mount Vernon's 4th Avenue a platform again so innovations can take place. Restaurants can open, shops and cafes. You can get a nice cup of coffee again. These are all things where we want to make sure that you have a whole new experience on our 4th Avenue. And again, the numbers show it. We have talent, we have transit, and we have tolerance as a city. And when you go through these 3 keys, you'll see that it connects very elegantly with the situation that we face. So we know that there's over about $400 million worth of spending capacity in Mount Vernon. Next slide. And we also have one of the prime locations. Next slide. We're surrounded by highways, surrounded by all sorts of opportunities to get 22 minutes from Mount Vernon to almost anywhere. JFK, well not JFK, no, that's like 45 minutes, maybe an hour depending upon traffic. But we know that that summer of hell doesn't apply to Mount Vernon because you can get to where you need to go. Next slide. So this is what we were talking about. There was a state study that showed that close to $500 million of spending activity occurs here in Mount Vernon. However, there's about 200 million trapped. Next slide. 200 million is trapped in these empty storefronts. This is why we're moving to make the downtown of Mount Vernon into an innovation district, looking to attract health, science, technology companies to locate here, and looking to take advantage of our transit access, which is unparalleled. Next slide. So we know that there are some challenges. We're working through these challenges. We've already identified a few of them. Next slide. But we've done as much as we can with what we have to make sure we address each one. Next slide. So in terms of moving the city forward, it's okay, you go back to brush part. We have a vision, a real capital vision to bring back our parks in a major way. And right now, this is an image, an illustration of what we see coming to Brush Park. You go down Union Avenue, and you're confronted by the new shops that opened up, that new auto store that opened up, and along with the new spirit store that opened up on Sanford Boulevard, creating a space for our recreation department to have to use and to repurpose that park into something that's going to be productive for our community. Because right now, we're a city with a lot of needs, but again, as an administration, we focus on the basics: potholes, street lights, safety. Next slide. And in August, we're going to talk about, you can hold it up for a minute. And in August, later in August, we're going to talk about our capital plan. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our capital plan next. But I want you to see some of the things that we intend to do now that's part of our sewer plan, part of our sewer revitalization effort to make sure that we make Mount Vernon clean and green. So this is a park over on Langdon Avenue. And one of the things that we want to do is create art gardens. And we believe that we can create something cool, new, purposeful, something that we can bring in these sculptures and curate a conversation around the city of Mount Vernon by having a real relationship with arts and entertainment. These are things that are possible. And just because the botanical gardens can bring Chihuly to their botanical garden, I believe Mount Vernon is a garden. It's just been overgrown, and we need to continue to prune it. And we can have the same type of situation where we have a park like this, full of weeds, become a park like this. One that has sculptures, something that has purpose, something that where you can go and read your book or bring your grandchildren or your children and just run around and talk to them while we work to bring back Memorial Field. All we have to do is cut the grass, put down a path, and invite local artists to come in and fill the space. That's what platforms do. We do it every day on our smartphones, depending upon how many apps you download. I know my son downloads 1 billion of them. So I just know we can create something really unique and cool, and it doesn't take that much time, nor does it cost that much money. We need to just work together to create this new experience and find all these pocket forgotten parks and add some purpose. And that's where we have a huge invitation out to each and every one of you to get involved and help us create these spaces and work with our recreation department, who's represented tonight by our Deputy Commissioner, Sylvia Gasson, who's in the back of the room. And under the leadership of Commissioner Darren Morton, who I don't see right now, but I believe he said he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. Next slide. Next slide. So Memorial Field, what's happening? All right, what's happening with Memorial Field? We know that this is where we are. We're looking at this dirty dirt that's been dumped upon us. This is Mount Vernon's Memorial Field from this morning. And we know that, again, there's a lot of work, but we're taking steps to clean it up and move it forward. The next slide. And this is part of the process that we're going to reclaim Memorial Field. We're going to turn it into a useful park again. We're taking steps now to restore the track so you can walk around the track again. We are taking steps to level the field so you can use the field again. And we're working with the DEC and the state of New York to make sure that Memorial Field is accessible as soon as possible. We believe that by the middle of August, you'll be able to use the track at Memorial Field again. That's how soon we're bringing it back. This August, in the next 2 weeks, we were down there today. Commissioner Nigro was operating the heavy machinery by himself. And it's going to be a labor of love, because until the resources are really available for us to invest and hire people to work on this reliably, we're going to do it ourselves. We identified some talent that's going to work with us to make this happen. In the next few weeks, you're going to see this transformation take place at Memorial Field. We've already had a few events there, and we're going to continue to have events there, but just know that in the next few weeks, you're going to be able to start using that track and not have to worry about Pelham or other communities saying, down on our track. So we're going to get our track back very soon. Next slide. So we're cleaning it up, and now this is where we are literally in time. We have this vision for a memorial field that's going to be an economic engine for Mount Vernon. Not just part of Mount Vernon, for Mount Vernon. And there are other aspects of our local economy that we'll talk about, like the Innovation District, that will be an engine. But this is the vision we put out, and it's been well received across the country. And tomorrow, I'll be traveling to Providence, Rhode Island to join a group, a very distinguished group of world leaders in urban design, architects, developers, bankers, as well as mayors. Only 7 cities were selected to participate in this presentation. Mount Vernon is one of those 7 from around the country to present our vision on moving Memorial Field forward. So we all should be proud. And I don't want you to be alarmed by what you see now, because what we asked our planners to do is to take a look around the world and identify different stadiums to see what kind of design can really fit and can work on our footprint without having an impact on the neighbors. And this one is from Poland. This is from Helsinki, Poland. Next slide. This one's from the Netherlands. Next slide. but this is what we believe may work for our city. And this is one of the designs that we see coming forward. This will take years to plan, but in the meantime, we look forward to having Memorial Field accessible and open to you in the meantime. So we're not going to stop progress, keep the park shut, and say, wait for the big day. We're going to say, let's use our field, let's figure out if we can save the stadium, keywords, it's a question we're asking, and let's, try and use the park and restore it to what it was so we don't have to continue to worry about our health or where our kids are going to hang out or why we're paying White Plains to host our graduations. We should have our graduations right here at Memorial Field. So this is where we're headed. Our future is rooted in our past. This is a sign, literally a sign, at Pennington. And when you read it closely, you see it says, Pennington School, a playground for all, City of Mt Vernon, Board of Education. Mount Vernon partnered with the school district, and we have extended that same partnership time and time again to the school district. And we often question, why is it so difficult to help each other? Because I know that Pennington Park has a park that's shut, it's closed, there's a lock on the gate. I get complaints about it all the time, and you know what? I've reached out to try and get the park literally open, but people keep hopping the fence to let their toddlers use it. But I get it, because it's a park for all, which is why we want to use it. But I believe that our future, again, is rooted in this approach. Next slide. We know the school district has borrowed about $110 million. And we know that based on their latest bond vote, they're out of cash. They've reallocated it to work on a few locations, and A.B. Davis was basically cut off the block. Mount Vernon High School was reduced to almost a couple $1 million. And when you look across at this, you have to ask yourself, man, $110 million is spent very quickly. And if you remind yourselves, in the year 2000, the school district borrowed $100 million and built a few schools, and here we are today, putting more money into these schools that we were told 10, 15 years ago is going to last us, a generation. So I can tell you that I recognize that the school district is very important to the city of Mt Vernon. It's actually one of the reasons why people move to cities. I'm not going to say move out or in. We know our school district must improve, and we're going to continue to take steps to support them. But I know that the school district has a 2020 vision, but we have a 2050 vision. We're looking longer term, we're looking down the road, and we're looking to see where we can help the school district finish the job. A.B. Davis is part of our capital vision to make sure that those ball fields in the center of our city become a playground for all. The playgrounds at various school buildings and grounds should become public space the way it already is. So just like that sign said at Pennington, we are looking forward to partnering with the school district because it's your tax dollars. It's the same tax dollar. There's no reason why we should be scrambling to find space in a place where we have 1% green space as a city. So the school district could be our biggest asset. And we're going to continue to work with them to partner on technology, offering our kids things to do that are positive and productive after school, trying to bridge gaps. But right now, we know and recognize that they can't finish the job without going back to the well of the taxpayer. So our vision is, what can we do to collaborate, support each other? We both play on Team Mt Vernon. And our hope is, when we present this vision, when we present the details later in August, it's something that you too can believe in, because we believe we can do it without a real impact on taxes, just by using what we have, cutting waste in the budget. And I'm taught this lesson every day by my wife, Cherish, who's here in the front row. Say hi, Cherish. So I want to say thank you all for not just coming out and hearing about what we're doing to move the city forward, but seeing that it's possible. Going back to 25 years ago, you heard about the kid that caught the interception. 25 years ago, you never imagined that the Hutch River waterway would look like this. But let's make sure that today is the day where we reject this future and we create one that has clear waters, a clean environment, a Mount Vernon that is magnificent again. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to being with you. So, as Lou comes up to take the microphone and take some questions, I just want to, let you know that he'll be walking around with the microphone. Shane has one over here, and I want to just
Testing 1, 2, 3.
work with these guys and pass this. So I see. So this is just we'll play this after we go through questions. So just hold that.
The city council is somewhat irate over the fact that you've been using Memorial Field and Hutch Field without getting their authorization. What do you have to say about that?
It's comical. First, Memorial Field didn't have dirty dirt dumped there. Then we had to pay a fine, and then they realized that what they were saying were not true. And they claimed to be charter lovers, and then the state court said they were wrong on the charter. And now they're saying that we're not following the charter on using our parks. I mean, what is it? It's about progress. It's about quality of life. It's about giving the parks back to the people. And I hope they join it some more because, look, Mount Vernon needs to have a better quality of life. Our charter is very clear in saying that the Recreation Commissioner has the right to, assign the use of the park, and as long as the process is followed. The process has been followed based on what I've been briefed on. And I just think it's time to move on. Let's move on. Let's make our parks clean and green, and let's give our parks back to the people. Let's not waste any more time. We waited 10 years already for Memorial Field, so let's just get it open. Let's get going. It's time. Question over here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions. One, the sewer problem that we're having in Mount Vernon. I visited Target quite a few times, and when you're in that underground garage, there's an amazing stench. Is that what the sewer problem is?
Yes, you can smell it at the Target garage, and the stench it stinks. And I can tell you that is part of the problem, and that's why we're working to resolve it. It's going to take 5 to 10 years. It's going to be a big project because the process is we have to map our sewers. You should know that Mount Vernon only has half of a sewer map. And I'm, bottom line is that's where we are. That's the reality. So that's why we bought this equipment so we can start mapping the sewers. And as we go underground to camera and televise the sewers, some of it will be done in-house, some of it will be done by private contractors because we're on a very strict deadline with the Department of Justice.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and thank you. Dr. Christopher Hackett, I've been a lifelong resident of Mount Vernon just over 40, well not lifelong, but for about 40 years now. And I've seen the city being very, very good, and I've seen it somewhat, the standards go down over time. So I'm heartened by your presentation, and I wish you well. One thing I wanted to bring to your attention in addition to all of the good proposals you're making, as I walk around the area, and I think I mentioned this to you in person, too many of our sidewalks are broken, and they're actually dangerous. There are some of us who, as we become older, have recognized the importance of exercise. And if I could be a bit personal, I'm one of those who do some walking around the area when I'm here. And I would only ask that you and your building, the public works, could pay some attention to it. I've had a request in now for about 18 months to have some broken sidewalks created by the tree roots on the side where I live, but nothing has happened. And I hope that if this evening you could point me to the commissioner, or if you could remember to speak to the commissioner. But these things also should be fixed. They wouldn't as costly as the others, but I urge you to get them fixed quite soon. Thank you.
So you're absolutely right. Sidewalks are a real threat to walkability, and depending upon where you are on the age spectrum, there goes our Commissioner of Public Works, he's going to connect with you as he already has. But part of our vision for the capital plan that we're going to lay out at the end of August and challenge the Capital Projects Board is to level all the sidewalks in the entire city and repave the entire city over the next 10 years. We can do it. All we have to do is make a very strategic plan and just budget for it and just take the politics out of it. Because I believe that every neighborhood should have stroller-safe, walkable sidewalks. It shouldn't be that difficult, but guess what? You know, when you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. So we're putting these plans in motion, and toward the end of August, we'll come out with our capital vision as to how we're going to enhance the school district's projects, but also how we're going to level your sidewalk and how we're going to make smooth streets throughout the city.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. My question is about the lights. I know there's been a lot of actual litigation and whatnot about the street lights, and I know that the company won their appeal for getting the lights paid for what they had done. Where are we with that now? We do need the lights now, and it's very dark, and as part of public safety, we need to have adequate street lighting.
An important infrastructure to fix. And I can assure you that based on what I've seen, we will continue to fight that crony contract. And I believe that the way that contract was done, it's unlike any contract in any municipality in this region. And I want to be clear, we're paying $3 million to replace the lights. No other municipality pays $3 million to replace the streetlights. You pay for it on your bill. It's virtually free. So we've identified a way to replace our streetlights without having to pay that $3 million. And we'll continue to challenge that contract in court because I don't believe your tax dollars deserve to go that way. So in the meantime, we've already identified a way to replace every single streetlight in the city of Mt Vernon, working with New York State. New York State has a program and a process that will replace every single streetlight, and we believe we're at the brink of getting that done over the next 8 to 12 months. So that $3 million will be redirected to Memorial Field as opposed to somebody's private pockets.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and all the commissioners and the audience. I have one concern mainly regarding the potholes on Columbus Avenue, South Columbus Avenue, more specifically going towards 233rd Street in the Bronx. That has been a very sore spot because it becomes flooded when it rains, even just a tiny bit, and the cars are, have to either go through it or go around it, meaning that they have to go on the fifth and find other ways to go past it. So I'm extremely concerned because that's been a sore thumb for Mount Vernon for the past number of years, too many that I care to mention. So I'd like to know if anything is being done to rectify that situation.
The answer is yes. And here we go. So the answer is yes. And that's one of our gateways. And in fact, we're looking to return that entryway to concrete streets because there are heavy trucks that come off of 95 to get to the fuel terminal, but also to get to the asphalt plant. And that's one of the things you see when you go up toward FedEx on 3rd Ave. That concrete street kind of went in, and that's why we're looking at, as part of our immediate approach when the contracts go out to bid over the next few weeks, we're going to hit that area first. So just know that gateway is very important to us, such as the Lincoln Avenue and Hutchinson Boulevard gateway, the 3rd Street coming off of 590 East 3rd Street, that gateway, as well as Mt Vernon Avenue coming under the bridge from Yonkers Avenue. Those are all of our gateways that we want to make sure that we really address, as well as some intersections like Stevens Avenue and Lincoln Avenue, where Lincoln Lounge is, which recently reopened, and coming down Stevens Avenue all the way to when you get to City Hall. Or in addition, looking at the intersection at Sanford Boulevard in Columbus. It's a disaster. So these are things that we're going to hit right away. It's on our list. I just want to say 2 more points that I want you to know. we've asked the County of Westchester to look at their bus stops in Mount Vernon and to make sure that each bus stop has a concrete pad. And it's important that these bus stops have concrete pads because the buses are so hot, they melt the roadway. So if you look at Columbus in, let's say, Stuyvesant Plaza, as you get off the cross county, you'll see it's like noodles, the roadway, because the buses gather there and they melt that asphalt. So we're making sure that as we look at these strategic improvements, we're asking the county to look at the same things that we're seeing, and hopefully they will either A, reimburse us for fixing the problems that their county buses are creating, or B, they'll work with us and do it while we're repaving our roads. It's a major coordination effort, but we're going to get that done. So the answer is yes, it's going to happen, and we hope to have that roadway repaved before November, before the asphalt plants close.
Just recording. I know, right?